Welcome back to the WOOF Anime Recap. Today we are going to cover the series Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. Hope you enjoy the video. The story begins when a high school student named Michio Kaga woke up in a horse stable, and suddenly realizes that he was playing some cheap online virtual game. He believes that he is in the game and this whole world would be a virtual reality. He noticed that the village he was in had been attacked by a group of bandits. Using his sword, Durandal, he defeats several of them. As a reward for his actions, the village chief, Samara, gives him the bandits' equipment. When Michio tries to log out of the game, he realizes that the world around him is real and that he must complete the game before he can leave. One of the villagers tried to steal Michio's captured loot and is subsequently punished with slavery. In order to sell the bandits' loot, the slave thief, and to collect the bandits' bounty, Michio sets off for the city of Vale. After he collects the bounty from the knights, Michio then visits Alan, who is a slave trader, to sell the slave thief. After knowing the situation, Alan informs Michio that a new labyrinth has recently been discovered nearby and suggests that someone like Michio, who seems to be an adventurer, should consider buying a slave, specifically a slave named Roxanne. Roxanne is a beast woman, which makes her useful in the labyrinth as she can fight monsters, and she is also a guaranteed virgin. Alan also suggests that if Michio wanted to use her as a sex slave he could do so. Michio somehow feels guilty for not buying Roxanne, as he didn't have enough money to purchase her. Alan suggests that he could wait for 5 days, so Michio agrees to return in 5 days with the money needed to buy Roxanne. We are given a glimpse into the future, where an older Michio comes back to the same village where his adventure first began. Michio is now accompanied by 5 female slaves. He came across a young boy, named Mio, and gives him a sword named Scimitar of Rage, so that he could protect her mother. Roxanne is curious about the young boy, but Michio only admits that he knows Mio's father. In the present, Michio has sold his loot but still needs an additional 70,000 gold. In order to make money quickly, he resolves to explore the labyrinth to find valuable items. He fears that his sword Durandal may attract thieves and thus hides it in his character menu and chooses to buy a basic scimitar. As he searches through the labyrinth, he starts to test the skills he has acquired. After killing monsters, he realizes that using the magic skill, he depletes his MP, which causes him to get depressed, so he chooses to avoid from spellcasting until he can increase his magic capacity. After his initial day, he earns a small amount of loot, which implies that he must defeat more dangerous monsters to acquire more valuable items. He accidentally falls into a monster nest and almost loses his life, until he is saved by the health and magic absorption skill of his sword Durandal. After eliminating the nest, he goes back to Vale and learns that the comrades of the bandits he killed are in the area. Michio decides to track and hunt them for the bounty. He becomes desperate and starts searching for bandits in the city. After giving it some thought, he realizes that bandits would want to stay hidden, so he sets out at night and discovers that certain areas of the city become a red light district after sunset, reasoning that bandits would want to remain hidden. Despite all the distractions, Michio manages to find a bandit and follows him to locate their headquarters. He closely observes the different bandit gangs in order to understand their habits. His landlord informs him that, following the assassination of a significant leader in an attempt to take over his territory, bandits began killing each other. The bandits that Michio had killed in the village were members of a weak and struggling gang that the other bandits had chased out of Vale City. With less than 24 hours to buy Roxanne, Michio starts to take action. When he sneaks into the headquarters, he kills a number of bandits while they are asleep, but when other bandits are alerted, he is soon forced to teleport into the labyrinth, so that he can recover his MP by slaying some monsters. The next day Michio finds the same knight who knew him earlier, and gets rewarded for defeating 3 bandits. He finally was able to buy Roxanne from Alan with the bounty money he had. Michio is surprised when Roxanne apologizes for thinking that he wouldn't be able to afford her. Now that the slave contract is placed, Roxanne is happy to have Michio as her owner, and Michio can relax, knowing he was successful in acquiring her. Michio can now afford a bigger room with his extra cash. He soon realizes that he was given a room with a double bed instead of 2 single beds. Roxanne starts to become a bit uneasy as this is new to her. Michio fears that Roxanne may be scared because of the thought of sharing a bed, but that is not the case. He tells her that he lives far away and asks Roxanne to help him on his journey and join him in the labyrinth as a fighter. She agrees to do so, and they went to the market to buy Roxanne a wooden shield, some armor and sword, and later they also went to buy her a set of undergarments. When they get back in their room, Roxanne showed she was good at fixing and maintaining the equipment. However, as night fell, they both became more nervous as they had to wash their bodies with hot water. They washed each other's back. Michio can't help but stare at Roxanne's lustrous body. He then hugs her from behind, and started washing her breast and eventually begins to enjoy fondling it. Later, he washes Roxanne's tail and they both clean each other's hair. Finally, they get into bed together and engage in sexual activity while attempting to make Roxanne feel as good as he does. The next morning Roxanne gives him a kiss, because Michio asked her to do so before they went to sleep. Michio decides to start their first journey through the labyrinth. As they were preparing, Michio asked Roxanne how to add abilities to his equipment. Roxanne informed him that he would need a rare monster skill crystal, and that only a blacksmith of the dwarven race could attach the crystal to the equipment. Knowing the dwarves weren't always reliable, he decided to find a trustworthy dwarf to join their party. In the labyrinth, Michio learned of magic crystals that were filled with monster magic and sold for large amounts of money, though it could take months to fill them up. Back in their room, Roxanne asked Michio if he would ever return to his homeland, to which he replied that he could not go and would keep Roxanne with him forever. To increase their party's strength, Michio suggested that they recruit more members, to which Roxanne agreed. They then went to purchase 2 empty black crystals, learning that they would turn white if someone stored magic from defeating 1 million monsters, though most people sold them after defeating 10,000 monsters. Roxanne also informed Michio that the labyrinths were alive and grew upwards, meaning the first floor was actually the bottom, while the strongest monsters were on the upper floors. Michio realized that he would need spells to attack multiple enemies in the upper floor, so he checked whether he had any mage skills by defeating some monsters. To acquire healing spells, both Michio and Roxanne became monks by defeating a monster without any weapons. At night, they maintained their routine of washing each other before making love. The next day, they found the room of the first floor boss monster and rushed in to fight it. Roxanne thinks that they might found some equipment, which were left behind from the previous party. As the boss monster appeared, Roxanne confronted him directly. Finally Michio was able to slay the boss monster. After defeating the first stage boss monster, it dropped a medicinal leaf which Roxanne picks up and gains the title Herbalist. For defeating the boss, they are granted access to second floor, but Michio also desires to get the Herbalist title, so they return back to the first floor to fight the same boss again. With the Herbalist title, Michio is able to use the medicinal leaf to create herbal medicine. When Michio gets back to the city, he sees a bandit watching at Alan's trading house and informs Alan about this. Alan explains that he recently sold the thief that Michio had sold to him, but he was bought by men who appeared to be dangerous. Alan suspected the thief was a bandit the entire time, and the men who bought him were members of his gang. Alan believes that the thief, who is still inside the trading house, was instructed to wait until everyone in the trading house was asleep before opening the door for the bandits to come inside. Michio suggests Alan to let him to be hired as a bodyguard, because Roxanne has pleasant memories with the old maid. After spending the evening in bed, Roxanne awakens Michio with a kiss, and the two of them went back to the trading house at night to join Alan's combat slaves in ambushing the bandits. As the bandits entered their home, they were ambushed by combat slave. Michio finds the thief hiding in a room and uses his experimental magic to try to catch him. When he cast the spell Equivalent Exchange, it reduced the thief's HP to 0. As Alan arrived to check the situation, he concluded that the thief was carrying a self-destruct orb, which has caused the explosion. Michio receives the reward from Alan for protecting his trading house. Later, Michio decides to enter the labyrinth as he was low on MP. After defeating some monsters, He noticed that by using equivalent exchange, he had unlocked the mage title. He then decides to use the second floor monsters to test the mage skill. Later, he decides to purchase a staff at the next market day. After walking further, they discover the boss room and decided to enter it. As they simultaneously attacked the boss monster, they were able to quickly defeat it. Entering the third floor, they discover that the new monsters are kobolds. Michio defeat most of the kobolds using fireball magic. Later, they return to the Adventure Guild, and Roxanne suggests him to join another party so that they may able to teleport other city for no cost in the future. And so Michio join with the mage who teleports him to the Imperial City Adventure Guild. As he has seen the Imperial City Adventure Guild, he now quickly heads to Curatar, which seems to be smaller than the other guilds. As both of them have returned to the home, they washed each other's backs before going to bed and enjoyed their sex life. Michio decides to buy a house so he can spend more time with Roxanne without worrying anything. After teleporting to Curatar, Michio discovers that the explorers are charged a small fee every time they enter the labyrinth, until Roxanne secretly tells him that they can teleport inside for free using Michio's teleportation magic. They went to Curatar weapon shop, and after buying a wand, Michio decides to settle in a smaller village outside. They started to look for places to rent. With the help of Roxanne, they are able to locate a huge-size home which also has a flushing toilet, and was close to the labyrinth. Roxanne noticed that the garden was neglected, and the house also has an odd stone room that the previous tenant had illegally added to the property. Michio went ahead to check whether he can use his teleportation magic in secret, and found that it was a success. After discussing about the property, they got a discount on the rent, and they went ahead to make a contract without any issue. As they enter the labyrinth of Vale, Michio defeats the monster using his wand. Afterwards, they spend their last night in the first room they rented together, since their new house won't have furniture until it is delivered the next day. Michio uses his water magic for helping Roxanne to clean the house, while Michio decides to visit Curatar's labyrinth. He pays the entrance fee, because he cannot teleport inside the labyrinth without doing so. As Michio enters the labyrinth, he is dissatisfied that there will be more competition for monsters and treasure in Curatar's labyrinth than in Vale's, because there are more knights, explorers, and adventurers. And he then immediately teleport back home. After their furniture was delivered, Michio and Roxanne are enjoying their first night together in their new home. The next day, Michio finds out that despite the overcrowding, no one has ever conquered the Curatar labyrinth, and the highest floor anyone has ever reached was the 91st. After entering the first floor boss room, he is disappointed by knowing how weak the first boss monster is, and Michio decides to teleport back to their home. Roxanne suggests that they should choose to start tending to the abandoned garden in an effort to lower his depression. As they finish the work, all the cloths became dirty, so they went out shopping for a laundry washing tub. Michio discovers an extra large tub could be used as a bathtub in the stone room, which he hopes to share with Roxanne. As the day passes, the difficulty of the boss monsters increased. Michio and Roxanne kept climbing the floors of the labyrinth, teleporting between them without having to start from the bottom, until they were faced with a boss monster Beep Sheep, capable of hurting them with a special magical skill, one that could even put the victims to sleep. Realizing that he had let his guard down and put both of them into danger, Michio quickly healed Roxanne, and they defeated the boss monster. Michio suggests that they should return to their home. As the bathtub had been delivered, Michio introduced Roxanne to bathing. What made more enjoyable was Michio's invention of soap, and the two of them engaged in passionate physical contact. Michio allowed Roxanne to sleep. He was feeling guilty for putting Roxanne in danger situation during their battle with the boss monster. He decided to add another warrior in their party as soon as possible. When Michio learns that clothing shops will pay for monster rabbit skins, they started to hunt down the rabbit monster on the 7th floor. Moving further, Michio and Roxanne discover that the boss on the 7th floor is actually a rabid rabbit. After defeating the boss monster, it drops high-quality meat as loot, which Roxanne cooks into a delicious meal. They choose to take down the rabid rabbit once more but run into another explorer, who has been on floor 7 for years getting ready to battle the rabid rabbit. Sadly, The Rapid Rabbit defeat the Explorer, which basically means that he is dead. What most affects Michio is the fact that adventurers frequently perish in labyrinths and that one day it might be Roxanne or him, and he struggles to accept this fact. He makes the decision to overcome his depression after Roxanne comforts him all night. Next day, after defeating Few Rabbit Monster, they exchange their rabbit skins to a clothing shop and bought 2 silk camisoles as a gift to Roxanne. A bull monster on the 7th floor breaks Michio's finger, and even though he heals it with magic, the labyrinth's increasing danger has an impact on him once more. Returning to house, while bathing with Roxanne, he introduces a quick healing technique to her, and as she became pro in that technique, he enjoys the oral sex given by her. The following day, after Michio defeats few of the rabbit monsters on 8th floor, Roxanne discovers that a monster was finally able to drop to Skillstone. Michio makes the decision to write his last will and testament to guarantee Roxanne's freedom after his passing. Roxanne declines because she believes that if he dies, she will have failed and would rather pass away herself. Michio travels to Allen Trading House in an effort to acquire a dwarf slave, who can work as a master smith. Sherry, a 16-year-old dwarf who is the only slave Allen currently has. She is neither a master smith nor well suited for battle. Sherry explains that although the master smith position typically requires explorer level 10, the position never materialized for her. But Sherry earnestly begs Michio to buy her. Allen and Michio discuss about Sherry's small ears, which is a sign of advanced age in dwarves. Allen also assures Michio that Sherry is indeed 16 years old and she is a virgin, and the small ears are actually her birth defect. He also agrees to reduce the asking price. Michio decides to buy Sherry as her new slave, and Roxanne seems somehow happy as Sherry will be joining their team, but he is unsure whether Roxanne appeared to be jealous or not. As the slave contract has been made, they went straight to their home by using Michio teleportation magic. Sherry is astounded by Michio's use of magic, particularly his warp spell, and the fact that everyone is living equally. Michio thinks to let her join in the labyrinth in the hopes that she will be able to unlock her master smith job, as Sherry is better with a hammer as a weapon to fight alongside. She also discovers that he can use offensive magic as well. They decided to go to a weapon shop, and Sherry chooses to use a wooden club, which Michio noticed that it has a skill slot. When Michio discussed the theory of skill slot with Sherry, he is surprised to know that nobody else is able to see skill slots except him. Sherry joins Michio and Roxanne on the labyrinth of 5th floor, to see the Battle of Adventures in real, and found it amazing that they were able to defeat monsters in single strike. Later they return back to their home, as Michio was able to refill his MP. At dinner, Michio accidentally serves food to Sherry first, which causes Roxanne to give him a death glare, so he quickly serves her first. He is shocked to discover that while Wolfkin has Beast Warrior job, and dwarves have Blacksmith, the only job available to humans are having Sex Maniac. Later, while taking a bath, Roxanne shows Sherry how to use their breasts to clean Michio's body. Before the bedtime, Michio makes a big mistake by kissing Sherry first, and he makes a very quick justification for kissing Roxanne second, and she agrees. Michio enjoys doing sex with Roxanne before Sherry, because he had learned his lesson earlier. With Roxanne's help, Michio takes special care to make Sherry feel comfortable as he takes her virginity. The Sex Maniac job has been unlocked by Michio this morning, and he is pleased with how much it boosts his magic, stamina, and intelligence. With the intention of making the most of his new position, Michio declares his intention to establish a harem. Moving into the future, we now see that Michio has now added 3 more slaves: Miria the Catkin, Vesta the Dragonkin, and Rutena the Elf. Hope you are enjoying this scene. Make sure to subscribe us. If you think we have missed something, tell us in the comment section. That's it for today. See you next time.